Hello and welcome to This Week at the Movies. I'm Matt,
I'm Eric.
and we came back together because of the danger that lurks in the frozen Rocky Mountains, which is a very close proximity to me. So I was definitely afraid. We are talking this week about the Black Phone 2. Actually, I guess they just dropped the first one is the Black Phone. The
Yeah, in
second
the
one is
opening title sequence, it was just Black Phone too.
what they only had so many
Oh, it is
characters.
actually also on Google. Only Black Phone 2.
Yeah, no, it is everywhere. Only Black Phone 2. Apparently, they only had so many characters, and if they were going to add that number, they said, "Hey, you gotta get rid of these three letters. We can't afford to." No, I'm just kidding.
All the posters we got to print.
So this is a sequel, and it's timed pretty well for spooky season. The original one came out in 2021. Set in 1978 in the suburbs of Denver, Colorado, where a young boy is taken by a serial killer named the Grabber. And while he's down there, he gets telephone calls from the spirit of previous victims. Meanwhile, his sister, who has some kind of second sight, is having dreams to hopefully help find him. He ends up overcoming the Grabber, who looks an awful lot like Ethan Hawke, and freeing himself. Well, this sequel picks up 4 years later in 1982, still around Denver. And we follow the exact same characters. Finney, played by Mason Thames, who's now, my guess would be somewhere junior, senior in high school.
Yeah, he was 17 when it was filming. He's 18 years old right now.
It picks up, kind of where the other one left off. He still has a lot of notoriety for not only having survived, but having beaten the Grabber, but still has some psychological trauma from that he hasn't found constructive ways to deal with. Their father, played by Jeremy Davies, Terrence, has continued the healing journey that he was on at the end of the first film, when he realized that he had given in to his demons and was not being a good father. He makes a reference that he's about to get his 3-year sobriety chip, so that's pretty great. Sister Gwen, played by Madeline McGraw, is still having dreams, still having some connections, though she tries to kind of avoid that because it makes her seem different. And she's connected with Ernesto, played by Miguel Mora, who is the younger brother of Robin, the friend of Finney's, who was one of the Grabber's victims who perished in the first movie. But Gwen starts having dreams and visions about 3 deceased little boys at a frozen lake, Camp Alpine, a Christian camp up near Silverthorne, which is in the mountains above Denver. So they see a chance to be counselors during winter camp. So she convinces her brother and Ernesto to go up there with her so that they can investigate. Turns out their mom had been a counselor there back in the 50s, and they have a connection to her too. When they get there, there's a raging snowstorm. They're the only 3 that have made it up there, and they find themselves trapped when Finn starts getting phone calls again, and turns out to be his old friend, the Grabber, who has managed to manifest himself from the beyond to continue to torment them. So, Eric, I know you are a big fan of the Black Phone. How did you find the Black Phone 2?
It was just different enough to be its own thing. I extremely enjoyed this movie. I'm not going to say that I love it, because I do have issues that are different from your issues. But the filmmaking, like this story on paper, shot the way that it's shot, masterclass. I adored the way that a mystery was being built, and the way they were structuring this pattern of Madeline McGraw having visions where she may be safe because she's just watching the memories of somebody, and then wake up in a state where you are gradually creeped in this idea that she is not safe when she is in this dream hybrid world. And at first I was like, and this is the thing with this movie, just because this movie does something doesn't necessarily mean it does it well. So when I started to think, oh man, Scott Derrickson should really make a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, I'm like, well, am I just saying that because this movie does things from a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, or does it actually do it well? And I got to say, there are multiple sequences that got me like fully on board that if this duo is not the team to write whatever reboot they do of Nightmare on Elm Street, that is a huge mistake, because they did an amazing job with working in those parameters of dream logic and dream world and horror that felt just grounded and
I
gritty.
mean, they're making their Friday the 13th pitch too by going up to a camp.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and their camp canceled.
I mean, they enmesh quite a few classic horror movie tropes here.
Yeah, there's even like an evil snowman. Like, yeah. So here's the thing. I absolutely adore and champion Mason Thames and think he's gonna be a star. I like he was 13 years old filming the first movie, and he sold so much of the emotion of being trapped in there for me, and worked so well with such a fictional, weird, ruled movie. Like, there's this phone, and that phone can help him defend himself. So why is it there? And what is the situation? Like, this mystery with the grabber and why he wants to be able to hear the phone but can't hear the phone. And it's not necessarily something you get answers to. And this movie doesn't necessarily give you a lot of answers to things either. And I'm kind of satisfied by that. I like that they've given you kind of just enough of a description that the grabber is in hell and he's been so evil that there's enough of him left to rot in hell that he's able to be a person that is coming back. Like, it's so creepy. It's so effective. Ethan Hawke is incredible as this character. And if there were more excuses to have him come back, I would not be sad. I really like Jeremy Davies as the dad. The two actors that I had the most problem with were Madeline McGraw and Miguel Mora. From very early on in the movie, they have this conversation about getting Duran Duran tickets and how that would be mint and how that would be like, yeah, radical. And like the words are so overpronounced that they hit my ear as like stilted. And I was like, okay, maybe that's just the way that they talk, because she's a character who's like on the fringe, being made fun of for being like a witch and being like all this kind of stuff. Maybe that's just the way the scene is playing out. But
or maybe 80s dialogue just doesn't work 40 something years after. I mean, that is
yeah,
true to the period.
I mean, it's being written by a man who probably grew up in the 80s, like Robert Cargill. Yeah.
I mean, so did I.
No,
but it's 43. This movie's set 43 years ago.
Right. But it's so that's the thing is like Madeline McGraw, she would have been maybe like 11 years old in the first movie, and she's playing this supporting role. And in this movie, the actor who I felt like shines was gradually like eclipsed by the leading role of the sister, who I felt like wasn't really earning the emotions of the speeches she had, and wasn't really earning the moments that, like, you know, it just she absolutely worked for me in the writing on paper and what she was saying. It was literally the reason I think it's the actress is because it was how it was hitting my ear and how it felt delivered that I was having a hard time with. And I was buying in completely to Jeremy Davies and Mason Thames, but after a certain point, they almost completely dropped Finney's arc. They gave him one scene of him deciding he's not angry anymore, standing with his father and sister in the snow, and one scene finally confronting the grabber to complete this arc that he's not going to be afraid anymore. And that's after building up this whole beginning movie about him trying to bury himself and cope and be a little bit like his father and all this stuff that had rich subtext going on. All of a sudden, he's sort of gone, and he just has these two scenes to complete his story, while the sister has sort of eclipsed and become the face of this situation, where she has to kind of learn to stand up and fight for herself and not be protected. And it just got a little wonky for me. The way that the mysteries were being built with these amazing, creepy, well sound designed sequences of what's happening to the boys, and the sleepwalking of the sister leads up to this just full on exposition dump in the room where they have the lit up cross, where they just explain, oh, WBH, it stands for this, and this is what happened to the kids. And if we find the kids, they do the thing. And I'm the kid that killed the grabber. The grabber was here. They dump everything into a tidy package in one scene. And I was like, this is too much. Like, come on. Like, what? I really like the story on paper. It's the way that it was delivered that I had issues with, that hold me back from really loving this movie. But yeah, what about you?
So are you giving it?
Oh my gosh, I forgot I'm supposed to do that. Oh man, it was so well made. I don't even know if I'm allowed to do this. Like a thumb and a half. But like I'm a thumb and a half. Like this is not just one thumb. I didn't just like this movie. Like it was really well made, but I can't totally give it 2 thumbs up.
So I have wondered, you mentioned how much you like the first film. I don't hate the first film, but I just thought it was okay. I thought it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was particularly memorable. Had they not had this sequel, I may never have watched it again. I watched it for literally the second time this week because I was like, dang, I should probably. I read the synopsis online. I was like, there's a lot of this I don't totally remember. I better watch it over again.
Yeah.
And I still thought it was, it's fine for what it is. But I have been a fan of Scott Derrickson for a while. He actually went to one of the same colleges I went to. And one of his early movies, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, is a movie that I love a lot, that I've purchased in several different formats every time it comes out, that I've always enjoyed. And I think one of the things that I enjoy about that is the exploration of spiritual themes and deeper, emotional and psychological themes. And I would say I didn't really get any of that in the Black Phone. I know the sister occasionally wakes up and screams at Jesus about her dreams. But that kind of seems like a secondary kind of piece. This film explores a lot of different things: trauma, grief, guilt, spirituality in a very different way. And I think, and it is more of a story too, that, we know in the first one, essentially these kids have an abusive absentee father, largely as a result of their mother having died, killed herself. And, maybe she had some of these gifts, but they don't explore that a lot. They explore that a lot in this film. And I liked that a lot. This is a big solid thumbs up for me. And I'll have to be honest, I told you beforehand, if you hadn't said, hey, I want to do the episode this week because I want to do the Black Phone, I was content to let this go to VOD. This was not on my radar. And so probably a big thanks to you, because this is a movie I liked quite a bit. I have slotted into my top 10 for the year, which would not have been on my bucket list. I liked the cinematic elements. I liked the bigger exploration. I actually liked the expanded role for Gwen. I think that she is an interesting character. I did look it up. They are exactly 1 year apart in age, the actual actors.
Okay.
So I think that works probably pretty well. So she probably 16, 17. She was born in 2008.
Yeah.
So.
16 when it was filmed, probably 17 now.
Yep. And I understand what you're saying about not loving that performance. I actually think that was a style choice.
Yeah.
And it worked a lot better for me. I'm with you. At first I thought it was going to be incredibly annoying. Like at the beginning of the film, I was I had such low expectations. It was kind of on the outside when they use a certain filming technique to indicate the dream sequences,
Yeah.
with the
Some
way they
Super 8,
and at
16
first I
millimeter
was
stuff.
like, "Oh my god, I can't do this."
The
But
whole movie.
it grew on me so much. There was so much of this, and I don't know if it's just you get into it. Every year there are probably 4 or 5 movies where I have no or sub-basement expectations
Mhm.
that end up coming out of nowhere and grabbing you. And we talked about last year being a rich year for horror movies. This year has been
There's
as well.
yeah.
I have this movie sitting at number 9. There are 3 other horror movies that I have
Yeah.
in
Have we
that
talked
top
about
above.
weapons?
Weapons, The Long Walk I have up in there, and Sinners.
Yeah.
So I mean, we are again living in kind of a rich and diverse time. I liked what Scott Derrickson did here, with Robert Cargill. I honestly, I before I saw this movie yesterday, I had been going back and forth with our other friend. I'm like, this is not the first Black Phone is okay. It is not a movie that should have had a sequel. And I've seen a lot of people, it seemed like, that really loved the first one that did not take to the second one. And I can see that because I think stylistically and what
It's
they're
different.
exploring and what they're doing is somewhat radically different. I did like the incorporation of a dream sequence. You're right, that feels like a little bit of a nod to A Nightmare on Elm Street, but they made it their own in a unique way and tying it back together. Even though I love this movie, I'm going to say I'm not sure I need to see a Black Phone 3.
I'm not sure, but if this team of these two
But
people are making it, I'm
yeah,
gonna be in line to watch it.
and I
Robert
might actually
Cargill and
be there
Scott
too
Derrickson.
after this one, which it's
Yeah.
just an amazing, sometimes it's amazing 180. So that's maybe a long-winded way of saying, if the Black Phone wasn't totally your bag and isn't the kind of film you're looking at, I would not let that dissuade you from seeing Black Phone 2, because honestly, that was how I felt. And I got something completely different that I really enjoyed. I liked the setting, the winter feel. The first film is very much kind of a summer in the suburbs. This is a winter in the mountains at a secluded camp. I enjoyed Demian Bashir. I liked the continuation and a redemption arc for Jeremy Davies,
Mhm.
and giving him a chance. He's a good actor who is primarily wasted in the first film because you see him being mean and beating his kids.
Yeah.
And this was just,
That
there
this
were some beautiful moments, even up to and including when Finney is going to camp and he looks at him and he says, "Do me a favor and don't
get
get
drunk.
wasted while I'm gone." And he's like,
Yeah.
how long is it going to take for you to believe that I've tried to set that aside and live my life differently? And the
Like,
way he, after
oh my
getting off the
gosh.
phone with his kids, says all the right things and then calls in a favor so that he can get to them.
Yeah.
And that is
Clearly,
that
there's a
is a
beer commercial.
beautiful growth over and an earned growth over a 4-year period. We're not talking
Mhm.
about like, oh, the next day. You're talking about 4-year period. And there were just, I appreciated Mason Thames and his role. I liked the expansion. I liked him and his sister. I liked them being more of a team.
Mhm.
They both have pieces of their mother's gift. They both, as gets shown in flashbacks, she had dreams, but she also got those phone calls. So they each
Mhm.
got a piece of her.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of beautiful. And the way they redeem that story and what it means for those kids.
Mhm.
And really, that closing phone call,
Mhm.
I thought it was one of the most beautiful moments of the film. And that's where I bump against, I think, her kind of dispassionate way she delivered lines was a choice, because you
Mhm.
see some beautiful emotion in that when she's on the phone and when she talks about, will this curse ever be lifted from me? And her
Mhm.
mom says it was never a curse.
Yeah. Again, those are lines to me that I don't know if it's the writing or the delivery. Like the emotions of everything working in that reunification and that validation of the afterlife and everything about the spiritual aspects of the story that you're talking about that they explored that they hadn't explored in the first one, it was all working for me. But it was her delivery of that line, am I going to be this cursed forever, just like it just hit my ear wrong. And I was just like, I'm trying to feel what you're telling me to feel and I can't feel it. And I don't know, but like, no, yeah, it doesn't. I don't feel like it takes away from how and why it works. So
Yeah. Well, Black Phone, we both liked it for different reasons, and it was probably unexpected for one of us.
yeah.
But not all movies that were released this weekend can be winners. So I'm
Oh,
gonna
let's
go.
do a card.
Yes. Oh,
I came to play.
I, I almost forgot. It's gathering, so I'm just gonna pull it random. Let's hope it's a good one. No, that might be too easy or too hard, depending on your depending on your age. A young boy almost drowns and learns he is really into fish. Yeah, that's gonna be tough.
Is it like really on the nose?
It's been a long time since I've seen this movie. So
Is it Big Fish?
no.
Oh no. Okay. All right. No. Just, let me think. You do your thing.
So the other big release this week is the latest from Luca Guadagnino, After the Hunt. If you would have told me that there was going to be a movie with Andrew Garfield, Julia Roberts, Iowa Debris, Michael Stuhlbarg, Chloe Sevigny, directed by Luca Guadagnino, I would be all in. And then I saw this movie, and I'm all the way out. This is a thumbs down.
No,
this movie. There's only one good performance. It's from Michael Stuhlbarg, and that's because
not even Andrew Garfield.
He's just chewing scenery in the background. The main actors and their characters are pretty horrendous. The script is pretty horrendous, and I will be honest. Last year, I understood a lot of people being frustrated by the score in Challengers, but I thought it fit what they were doing, and I was into it. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross said, "Hold my beer. We are going to turn you off of a movie by injecting the most discordant music that we can possibly do."
They did Challengers, right?
They did Challengers, yeah. And I loved that score. I thought it fit. I know a lot of people said it was distracting.
It, yeah.
This was incredibly distracting. I don't know what was more distracting, this or some of the ridiculous shot choices that Luca Guadagnino made, where you're essentially trying to get facial expressions from mirrors, or there's a big emotional sequence and you're just shooting it from above, looking at the top of their heads. Like, the craft here was horrific. The story from Nora Garrett goes nowhere and feels incredibly banal and pointless. I was shocked. This is a bad movie. This was a bad idea. It's a bad production. I know that they've talked about how it's sinking in awards consideration, and I know why. It was a total misfire for me, which is why I thought this was going to be a rough weekend of shows, because I saw this movie midweek and I was like, oh dang. This combined with a horror sequel I'm not excited about, but thank you, Black Phone, for restoring my faith in films, as do some of the rest of the ones that I'm going to talk about. On Netflix this weekend, we got a documentary drop, The Perfect Neighbor. This is told a lot through body cam footage and police interrogation interviews. It takes place over the series of years in a Florida neighborhood where a true Karen likes to stir things up and is contentious with all of the families that live in her neighborhood and the kids, and it eventually reaches a boiling point where a shooting takes place, where somebody tries to use the stand your ground laws for this shooting. It is a infuriating and heartbreaking film. Um, but it was beautifully put together. Probably my favorite documentary of the year so far. It's been a good time for documentaries. We got John Candy, I Like Me last week, which I mentioned that I liked a lot. The documentary Mr. Scorsese, which is a 5-part exploration of Martin Scorsese's life and career, dropped on Apple TV Plus. I enjoyed that a lot. I really liked the Pee Wee Herman documentary earlier this year. So there have been some great documentaries, but right now that's probably the most impactful that I've seen. Do you want your hint before
I do. I want the hint.
They start dating?
The fish?
The boy and the fish. You might be thinking too literally about a fish. Coming to mention a couple of movies that are in limited release this weekend that go a little wider next week. And one of them, we just saw Ethan Hawke killing it as the grabber or the spirit of the grabber in Black Phone. But now he is also in a Richard Linklater film that opened in limited release. Yeah, opened in limited release this week. Goes a little bit wider next week. It is called Blue Moon. It is a biopic of Lawrence Hart, who was the famous lyricist who worked with Richard Rodgers before Rodgers reteamed with Oscar Hammerstein. This movie takes place in a single evening as Lawrence Hart views the opening of Oklahoma, which is Rodgers' new production with Hammerstein, and goes to a nearby bar where he is struggling with his own personal demons and has to be there for an after party to greet his old friend Richard Rodgers, played by Andrew Scott. Ethan Hawke plays Lawrence Hart, and has a few other conversations. An incredible Ethan Hawke performance. Margaret Qualley's in this too. Her character, Elizabeth Whalen, it was the letters between Hart and Whalen that were some of the impetus for the book that then inspired this screenplay. And I thought that was probably the weakest part of this production, ironically. But Hawke, has done some of his great work with Linklater. I liked the setup here. It takes place over an evening, mostly in one room. It feels very much like a stage play. A large sequences. Ethan Hawke was great here. I liked his back and forth with Andrew Scott, with some of the rest of the cast. Bobby Cannavale plays the bartender who hears a story, the injection of the famous music that was written by Lawrence Hart, including the iconic song Blue Moon, for which this takes its name, was a lot of fun. I give it, a mild thumbs up. I forgot the perfect neighbor. I gave a thumbs up. After the Hunt, obviously a thumbs down. But Blue Moon, mild thumbs up. Another movie that's in limited release this week that goes a little bit wider next week. That is going to be France's official selection for the Academy Awards is from Jafar Panahi, called "It Is Just an Accident." This one is an Iranian film set in Iran, won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival earlier this year. It is about a coincidental meeting between two people that sparks something from their past. I don't really want to give a lot of the plot away because I think you kind of have to see it and sink into the story. Very emotional at times, giving this one a thumbs up. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I can see why it won the Palme d'Or. I think it has some powerful moments and some powerful performances and some very unique shot setups. So that was one that I enjoyed, both Blue Moon and It Was Just an Accident. If they're not playing for you now, they're probably more likely to open around the 24th. I know that's when they're opening wide here, but maybe in limited release already in your town, especially if you live in a bigger market.
And I think there's one more. Isn't Shelby Oaks limited release this week, and then wider next week?
I don't know if it went out limited this week, but I do know it is the wider release. It is in wide release next week. A lot of things going in wide release next week.
The Kickstarter rewards started coming in the mail. So I am supposed to get a Blu-ray whenever they have a Blu-ray based on the tier that I submitted, but I got the poster. And I'm super hyped. I can't believe I'm looking at Chris Stuckman, executive produced by Mike Flanagan. That's just like a wild thing that exists. But I was really happy to get that.
That also a Neon release, which Neon is the one that acquired It Was Just an Accident, Blue Moon, a Sony Pictures classic. There are a couple other. If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You. I know went into limited release this week. I haven't gotten a chance to see that. It's supposed to be going wider, but next week, I mean, we have the Bruce Springsteen biopic, Deliver Me from Nowhere. The movie Regretting You. There are a couple other things. It's it's going to start to be a torrent here. There is like 5 things currently listed as wide releases on November 7th. And that's not including all the things that are coming to Netflix that just keep rolling out too, because we're going to have A Ballad of a Small Player and Frankenstein. And I am going to whiff on Catherine Bigelow's movie. Which is actually the one that opens on Friday, A House of Dynamite. So a lot of big stuff is coming out. So we're going to try to keep on top of it, but just giving you a few. So I'm guessing they started dating.
Hey, it's thrown me off. Is this movie animated?
It is not. It's Tom Hanks movie. I think A Young Boy. That's what I haven't seen it in a long time, and so that part is throwing
that is throwing
off.
me off pretty hard.
It's Splash.
Oh, I've never seen Splash.
It's been a while since I've seen it. I don't remember the first time he sees. So Daryl Hannah's a mermaid, which is why I said they're taking fish.
I thought it had to be.
Well,
I was thinking, is it the Little Mermaid?
Let me see if you would have gotten this other one, because
little boy.
A poor girl is best friends with a ducky.
What's the hint?
She makes a dress. I'm guessing you haven't seen a lot of the John Hughes Brat Pack 80s teen movies.
Oh, with Ducky, the Pretty in Pink.
That's why I thought that one would be like more of a dead giveaway because of the But I forget that you and I are probably a decade apart.
Yeah, I think we're exactly 1 decade apart, 81 and 91.
Yeah, so the things that I think of as like, oh, that's an easy one from the 80s. Probably not an easy one from the 80s.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because Pretty in Pink is one of the only John Hughes movies that I haven't seen. I love John Hughes.
Yeah.
The Weird Science was an odd one to me, but like for the most part, I just straight up adore like all his Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller, like pretty much everything. And I also, there's this movie that I really love that's heavily inspired by John Hughes called Charlie Bartlett. Love that movie. But
poor Anthony Milton.
Oh my gosh.
Robert Downey Jr.'s in that one.
Yeah, as the principal.
RDJ.
Good performance too.
Well, that's all the ones we're going to give you this week, but hopefully we will be back together next Saturday talking about Shelby Oaks.
Hopefully.
I'm pretty sure that's what I'm seeing on Monday. Cinemark doesn't tell you in advance, but all the clues, including the rated R and the runtime, point toward Shelby Oaks. And then I will have seen A House of Dynamite. I'm taking my mom to see Deliver Me from Nowhere and taking my wife to see Regretting You. So it's a big big day of, it's a big week of date movies apparently. And we'll see what other things. It is starting to be screener season. So getting excited for that and seeing some of the things that will be coming out. So it's a fun time. Hopefully, you guys get a chance to go out and celebrate spooky season by seeing Black Phone 2. I'm glad I got to see it last night because apparently, according to Hallmark, today begins Christmas movie season. So I have already been informed that I will be seeing a Hallmark Christmas movie. Maybe I'll share my Hallmark Christmas movie reviews for you as long as I know my wife's not going to listen to them. So,
Yeah.
something else for you guys to look forward to. But until
Yeah.
next week, we will see you at the movies, or maybe in your dreams.